Myself, Sarita Yadav from Dharavi Kalakila MPS Secondary School welcomes you all to statewide online lectures held by Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation's Education Department. Student, I am going to continue with the subject Science and Technology Part 2 and lesson number 6 Animal Classification. As we are continuing with the lesson Animal Classification, this is our session 4. Okay, let's begin with the session. Students, last time we discussed about, during the previous sessions, we have discussed about the new system of animal classification. How animal kingdom is divided into various phylums based on different criterias. And with respect to that, we had covered some phylums and studied about their characteristic. Till now, we have finished with Porifera, phylum Porifera, phylum Nidaria, phylum Platyhelminthes, phylum Ascalminthus, and phylum Annelida. Let's start with rest of the phylums and study and know about different characteristics exhibited by them. Okay, so let's start with the remaining ones, that is Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, and Hemichordata. Let's begin. We are going to start with the phylum Arthropoda. Now, phylum Arthropoda. The animals included in this phylum, they have joint appendages. Okay, and that's why they are called as arthropods. Now, jointed appendages means what? See, jointed appendages means appendages are structures that extend from the arthropod's body wall. In the picture, you can see the external structures which are extending from its body. They have joints that bends. Okay, so that's why it is called joint appendages. And these joint appendages are useful. It includes legs, which is used for walking, even the antennas. These animals, they have antennas for what? For sensing the environment. With the help of these antennas, they sense the environment. They even sense if any danger situation or if any predator is there, they sense through the antenna. Even they have mouth parts for chewing food. Okay, so these are the joint appendages present in this type of animals. That's why they are called as arthropods. One main thing you have to see, it is the largest phylum with highly successful animals in animal kingdom. See, we have studied how diverse the animal kingdom is. And this phylum, Arthropoda, it is the largest phylum. Okay, it has highest number of animals from this phylum. And some very highly successful animals are included in this. Next point, these animals included in the phylum Arthropoda, they are found in all type of habitats, ranging from deepest ocean, okay, deepest ocean to highest mountain. You will have the animals belonging to this phylum. It is found in oceans, it is found in deserts, mountainous regions, terrestrial, that is land. So that's why, as so many diverse animal forms of this phylum are present in different habitat, that's why they are the successful animals, and it is the largest phylum. Now, body. How is the body of these animals? Again, as based on different criteria we had studied, the body of this animals is triploblastic. Okay, once again, triploblastic. You have to remember, triploblastic means what? three germ layers. Three germ layers. Their body is triploblastic, three germ layers. So it has all the three germ layers. And what are the names of three germ layers? Ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. All the three germ layers are present in them. Okay. Then how is the body cavity? It is ecoelomate. Ecoelomate means what? It has true body cavity. Ecoelomate or eucoelomate, that is true body cavity is present in them. Okay, so that's why eucoelomate. Then how is the symmetry? The symmetry, if you see the organisms, the animals of this phylum, they show bilateral symmetry. Once again, what is bilateral symmetry? An imaginary axis passing through the body divides it into two equal halves, two identical halves. The left side and the right side of the body are identical. So very important characteristics. Body, it is triploblastic, it is coelomate, and it is bilaterally symmetrical. Okay. Then let's move on to the next characteristics of phylum Arthropoda. Now, if you see the animals, okay, the body of these animals is segmented. Once again, segmented. Do you remember what I had said? Segmented body means what? Bodies made up of many identical looking segments. Okay, so the animals which are included, they have segmented body. From the picture, you can see how the segment, that is the regular similar type of units called segments, are repeating. That's why it is said segmented body. Okay, so the body of this animals is segmented. Another important characteristic is chitinous exoskeleton is present around the body. Now, what is, first we will understand exoskeleton. What is exoskeleton? It is the external skeleton. Okay, external skeleton is called exoskeleton. And it is chitinous. Chitinous is what? Chitinous is a major component of exoskeleton of insects that helps in protecting their delicate soft tissues. Okay, now for, see, chitin, when we talk about chitin, it is it is the component of its exoskeleton. What is chitin? Now chitin is a long chain polymer. Okay, it's a derivative of glucose, that is polysaccharide, and it makes the exoskeleton very tough. Okay, very strong. So in a way, it protects. It is present around the body, so it protects the delicate soft tissues of the animals which are present. Okay, so that is chitinous exoskeleton. Another characteristics, these animals are unisexual. Unisexual means either the organism or the animal will be a male or a female. That's why they are unisexual. Okay. So this were few of the characteristics. Okay, just quickly I'll go through. How is the body symmetry? Bilaterally symmetrical. Germinal layers, it is triploblastic. Coelom, it is coelomate. That is true body cavity is present. How is the habitat? Habitat, if you see, this animal's habitat range from deepest ocean to highest mountain. And how are the structures of the body? If you see different types of body structures, for example, crabs and prawns, they have very hard exoskeleton. Okay, whereas worms like centipede, millipede, or scorpion and spider and flying insects, they are also included in it, but their exoskeleton is not that tough like crabs and prawns. Okay, then students, how is the reproduction? If you see sexual reproduction, as they are unisexual, and one more characteristic I'm going to discuss is metamorphosis. Okay, metamorphosis is one of the characteristics seen in this animals belonging to this phylum. Okay. And if you see metamorphosis, what is metamorphosis? Okay, the organism, okay, its looks right from its larval stage to adult state. It changes. Now, for example, butterfly, you have seen how from the egg larva comes, then from larva develops the caterpillar, then caterpillar develops the cocoon, pupa stage is there, and then finally you get the beautiful butterfly. That phenomena is called metamorphosis. Even that is seen in Arthropoda phylum. Okay. Then how do this animal do locomotion? Locomotion either by swimming or creeping. Okay, so this type of locomotion is seen. One more thing you have to remember. One more thing you have to remember. The various examples. Okay, as I said, it is the largest animal phylum. So again, huge number of examples you can see which are included in the phylum Arthropoda. The common ones, some are this you all are very well aware of. Crab is there, spider is there, scorpion is there, honeybee is there, millipede is there, centipede is there, cockroach is there, butterfly is there, honeybee is there. These are various examples of animals included in the phylum Arthropoda. Okay, so this was the phylum Arthropoda. You have to remember the most important characteristic is these animals have joint appendages. That's why they are called arthropods. Okay, segmented body also is important characteristic, and chitinous exoskeleton is present. These are some of the important characteristics of these animals. Now next, this was about phylum Arthropoda. Okay, which is the next phylum we are going to discuss? That is phylum Mollusca. Now phylum Mollusca, let's start. Okay, now if you see the body of the animals included in this phylum, it is soft and slimy. Okay, and that's why they are referred as mollusks. Okay, and from that the name mollusca. Okay, so body is soft and slimy. Hence, they are referred as mollusk. Next point. Okay, next point is it is the second largest phylum. Students, you have to remember the largest phylum, the first largest phylum is Arthropoda. The second largest phylum is Mollusca. Okay, so it is the second largest phylum in animal kingdom. Next, the animals which are found in this phylum, they are aquatic or terrestrial. Now, aquatic, you know, they are found in water bodies. Most of the aquatic mollusks are marine, but few are freshwater dwellers too. Okay, that means what most of the molluscs, they are marine, found in saline water, seas, oceans, but few species, they are also found in fresh water. Okay, that is rivers, lakes, and ponds. That's why. And even terrestrial. Terrestrial means they are found on land also. Now, again, very important characteristic. How is the body of the organisms, okay, or the animals of this phylum? Again, the first point itself, I said body is soft and slimy. Okay, so you have to remember the body is soft. Triploblastic. Now, what is triploblastic? That means, again, three germ layers. Three germ layers are present. And which are the three germ layers? Ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. So that's why triploblastic. How is the body cavity? The body cavity is eucoelomate. That means what? Body cavity present. True body cavity is present, which is formed from either mesoderm or gut. Okay. And how is the body? Non-segmented. Non-segmented means what? They do not have those repeating similar type of units, similar units called as segmented. It has a smooth, comparatively it has a smooth body. Okay. So that's why the body is soft, body is triploblastic, body is eucoelomic and non-segmented. Got it? The next characteristic is symmetry. How is the symmetry? If you see symmetry, the animals of this phylum shows bilateral symmetry. Bilateral, again, the imaginary axis divides the body into two equal halves. Exception is there. And which is the exception? Snail. Okay? Snail does not show bilateral symmetry. It is asymmetrical. Got it? Then let's move on to the next characteristic. Unisexual animals. Okay, the animals of this phylum are unisexual. Either it will be a male or either it will be a female. Next characteristics of phylum Mollusca is one of the main characteristics. See, their body is divided into three divisions. Okay, head, foot and visceral mask. Okay, what is see? In the picture you can see how their body is divided into three parts. Okay, head is there, visceral mass, foot is there, and visceral mask is there. Mass is there. Okay, so that, and what is visceral mass? Now, if you see, visceral mass is a soft, non-muscular metabolic region of the mollusc that contains the body organ. Okay, you can see this part, visceral, shown by the orange color in the picture. This one, this is visceral mass. Okay, this is mantle from above, but inside it is a visceral mask. And how is it? It is soft in nature. It is non-muscular, and it is the metabolic region. It also contains all the important organs of this animal. Okay, like digestive organs are there, excretory organs are there, reproductive organs are there. All these organs are contained in the visceral mass. Okay, mass. Then the next point is mantle. What is mantle? See, in the picture, from the picture you can understand this green color covering at the top. Just wait a minute. Okay, green color covering at the top is called mantle. Green or light blue in color, if you can see a circular lining. Now, what is that mantle? Mantle means it's a body wall of the mollusc from which the shell is secreted. Okay, you can see from the picture there is a shell present, and that shell is secreted from where? From mantle. And what is mantle? Mantle is the body wall of the mollusc. Okay, so you have to remember the body is divided into three divisions: head, foot and visceral mass. Okay, then visceral mass is what? The soft non-muscular metabolic region of the mollusc that contains all the important body organs, like digestive organs are there, excretory organs are there, reproductive organs are there. This visceral mass is covered with mantle. Okay, and mantle is what? Mantle, it's the body wall of the mollusk, which secretes a hard calcareous shell. Okay, hard calcareous means what? It is hard in nature, and then it is calcareous. Calcareous means it is made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, that's why it is said that mantle secretes a hard calcareous shell. Now, this shell, it can be external. Okay, some species of these animals, they might be having external shell. Some animals might be having internal shell, and not necessary that the shell will be present in all animals. Okay, it might be absent in some cases. Next point is unisexual animals. Now, how are the animal? The unisexual, again, it can be a male or the animal might be an female. Okay. Now some of the examples of phylum Mollusca. If you see, the examples are bivalve. Okay, you can look into the picture. And snail. You all are very well aware with snail, isn't it? Then even octopus. Octopus, you know, it is one of the most clever animal among all the non-chordates. We are studying about non-chordates, isn't it? Also, octopus is one of the most cleverest animal of this kingdom. You know, one of the important feature is it can changes its color also. It can camouflage according to the situation. It can change its color in order to adapt itself to the environment, or in order to camouflage, in order to protect itself, okay, in order to fool the prey also. So it can change color. Even locomotion. What type of locomotion you can see in octopus? The octopus can perform three types of locomotion. Okay, octopus can swim also. Octopus can creep. Okay, even it can walk also. Walk like, okay, walking like action can be done by the octopus. So three types of locomotion can be performed by the octopus. Various examples I just said. Bivalve is there, snail is there, octopus is there, oyster is there. Got it? So this was about the phylum Mollusca. Okay, just quickly I'll go through with all the characteristics. Okay, Mollusca bilaterally symmetrical, coelomate, triploblastic. It habitat is marine, freshwater, or terrestrial also. How is the body? Structure of the body is soft, slimy, somehow shells. Okay. They are unisexual animals. Reproduction is by sexual method. What type of locomotion is there? Swimming, creeping. Okay. And the important one was body is divided. Body is divided into three divisions: head, foot, and visceral mass. Okay, visceral mass enclosed in the mantle, and mantle secretes a hard calcareous shell. Okay, so these are some of the important characteristics about phylum Mollusca. Next, we are going to start with the phylum Echinodermata. Okay, see, we have completed Arthropoda, we completed Mollusca. Let's begin with phylum Echinodermata. Now, the animals, okay, the animals of this phylum, they have calcareous spines present on the body of these animals. Now, calcareous means made up of calcium carbonate. So they have spines on their body, and that's why the name is echinoderms. Okay, so calcareous spine-like structures are present on the body of these animals. Sorry. Hence, they are called as echinoderms. Now, understand the meaning of the name. Okay, echinoderm means, echino means spiny, and derm means skin. Okay, so they have spiny skins. So that's why the name echinoderm. Okay. Next, you can see the picture, the example, starfish, and you can see sea urchin also. As the spines are present, if we come in contact with the spines, you can get hurt. Okay, it gives you a stinging. You can see the blood coming out of from the finger. Okay, as they are spiny in nature. Next characteristic, these animals are found only in ocean. That means they are marine animals. They are only found in salty water, in oceans. Okay. And how is the body? Body of these animals is triploblastic. Triploblastic. Once again, I'm repeating, three germ layers, all the three germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm are present. Okay. Then eucoelomate. What is eucoelomate is true body cavity, and the cavity is surrounded by mesoderm or gut. Okay, so that's why the body is triploblastic and eucoelomate. Next, how is the symmetry, body symmetry of these animals? Okay, now these animals, they show two types of symmetry. One is bilateral symmetry, another one is radial symmetry. Now, what is bilateral symmetry? See, bilateral symmetry is shown during larval stage. What is larval stage? Larval stage is the early stage of development, okay? And it differs in appearance from its adult stage. So if you see, this is the larval stage of starfish. Okay, from the picture you can see how it looks. If a imaginary axis is drawn from the animal, okay, it passes from the animal's body, starfish, it divides it into two equal identical halves, isn't it? So that's why it is bilateral symmetry in larval stage. But if you see adult, okay, if you see adult, it is radial symmetry. Radial symmetry passing through the central axis. See, both are starfish only, but this is larval and this is adult. Larval shows bilateral symmetry and adult shows radial symmetry. Okay, so you have to remember. Next, locomotion. Now, how is the locomotion in this phylum? Echinodermata. Okay, the animals of this phylum, they perform locomotion with the help of tube feet. With the help of tube feet. Okay. Now tube feet, see in the picture, you can see how it looks. Okay. And this is the starfish. Picture of starfish, tube feet. Now tube feet helps them for moving, helps them to perform locomotion. Tube feet is also helpful in capturing the prey. Okay. So what is tube feet? Tube feet are small tubular projections which is helpful for locomotion and which is helpful even to capture the prey. Okay. Then some animals are sedentary. Sedentary means what? There's they are at one place, they are not moving. Okay, so they are sedentary. So this was some of the characteristic of the animals. Next characteristic is skeleton. How is the skeleton? Okay, the skeleton of the animals is made up of calcareous spine or ossicles. Okay, ossicles or plates. Now, what is ossicles? If you see, ossicles is nothing but a porous chunk of calcium carbonate which is filled with living tissue. Got it? It's a chunk of calcium carbonate and inside it living tissues are present. And these ossicles, in case of sea urchin, they fuse together to form the inner shell and spines. Okay? So, skeleton is made up of calcareous spine or ossicles, also called as plates. Next characteristic, these animals have good ability of regeneration. Now see students, regeneration means what? You can see from the picture. Okay, a starfish, just wait a minute. A starfish, you can see the starfish, its one arm has been removed, isn't it? With part of center, some part of center is there with the along with the arm. So what happens? This remaining body, okay, it will grow back the lost arm, whereas this lost arm will grow back the remaining arms. Okay, that means what? Both will become into a new individual. So it has a good ability of regeneration. Even in this picture you can see. Okay, even in this picture, this is a full organism. Then it has lost two arms. Then what happens? The place from where the two arms are lost, there it is growing. The new arms are growing from there, which develops into a new starfish. And the arms which was lost from the original, that also develops. It also grows the new arms, which also grows into a new individual. Okay, so these animals have good ability of regeneration. Even these animals are mostly unisexual. Unisexual, either male or female. What are the different examples of this phylum? Echinodermata. Okay, starfish, sea cucumber. You can see why it is called sea cucumber. From the shape you can understand. Then sea urchin, brittle star. These are few examples of phylum Echinodermata. Next, and the last phylum of non-chordates, the last phylum Hemichordata, which we are going to study, is Hemichordata. Now, how is the body? If you see, the body of these animals is divided into three parts. Okay, from the picture you can see what are the three parts: proboscis, collar, and trunk. Okay, so the body of this animals, it is divided into three parts. Proboscis, this part is proboscis, then followed by collar, and the last one is the longer one, trunk. Okay, and how is the body shape? It is cylindrical. Now, the name Hemichordata. Why the name Hemichordata? Okay. Now, see, we are studying about non-chordates. And you remember one of the characteristic of non-chordates? Notochord is absent. But in case of Hemichordata, what happens? The notochord is present in proboscis region. That means what? This region here, the notochord is present. Okay. So that's why they are called as hemichordata or hemichordates. Okay. So once again, body is divided into three parts. And what are the three parts? Proboscis, collar, and trunk. And notochord is present in the proboscis region only. Hence, they are called as hemichordates. Next characteristic, if you see, these animals are also called as acorn worms. Okay. Now, why the term acorn worms? Now look at the structure or look at the picture of the worm and look at the picture of this acorn. Acorn is what? A nut. Okay, you might have seen in movies or cartoons and all. Acorn is a nut of oak tree. If you see the front end of this animal, okay, is shaped like an acorn. It is similar to acorn, and hence the common name is acorn worms. Got it? Why the name acorn worms? Because the front end of this animal is shaped like an acorn. Okay. Now another characteristic. These animals are marine animals. Okay. That is found in oceans, saline water, and they live in burrows, okay, in sand. They are found in very shallow waters. They live in sand by burrowing, okay. So these are burrowing worms found in shallow waters. Then another characteristic, they have one to many pharyngeal gill slits. Okay, from the picture you can see pharyngeal gill slits are present. Now, what is pharyngeal gill slits used for? For respiration. Okay, for respiration. These animals are unisexual and some may be hermaphrodite. Now, you know unisexual, we have discussed many a times. Unisexual means what? The animal might be a male or a female. But some are hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means what? They have both reproductive systems present in the same organism or same animal. Now, how is the symmetry? If you see the symmetry, okay, it is bilaterally symmetrical. It is bilaterally symmetrical. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic. Okay, it's not mentioned in your textbook, but you have to know the germinal layers and coelom. Okay, what type of germinal layer is there? Triploblastic. 3 germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm are present. How is the body cavity? The body cavity is coelomate. Okay, coelomate means what? True body cavity, which is surrounded by mesoderm or gut. Okay, then they are burrowing animals, marine burrowing animals found in sand. You can see the example, Saccoglossus, okay, and the picture of it. Saccoglossus is an example of the animal found in the phylum Hemichordata. Next example is Balanoglossus. Very important diagram also. The diagram is there in your textbook too. Okay, now Balanoglossus, you can see the body. It is divided into 3, proboscis, collar, and this is the trunk region. And these are the pharyngeal gill slits present. Okay, this is the real picture of the Balanoglossus. Now, why Balanoglossus is so important? Okay, now see, through the viewpoint of evolution, okay, Balanoglossus is considered as connecting link between whom? It is considered connecting link between non-chordates and chordates. Now, between non-chordates and chordates, okay, that means what? See, till now we were studying about all the non-chordate phylums, isn't it? They do not have notochord. But this Hemichordata, this Balanoglossus, they have notochord present in this proboscis region. Just wait. In this proboscis region, notochord is present. And then further you're going to study about chordates. So what happens? It is said that this Balanoglossus, okay, it is connecting link between non-chordates and chordates. That means what? You know evolution. Evolution is what? It's a gradual process by which how the higher animals have evolved. Slowly they have evolved from the primitive ones, isn't it? So that's why it is said Balanoglossus is a connecting link, as it shows both the characters. It shows characters of both the groups, non-chordates also and chordates also. So it can be asked for give reason. Okay. Then students, so we have finished with the phylums of non-chordates, all the phylums of the non-chordates. Okay. So just quickly, I'll go through each one of them. First was phylum Porifera, also called as sponges. And I'm going to discuss the important characteristics. Okay, they bear numerous pores. The name of those pores were ostia and oscula. Ostia, the smaller pores from by which the water is taken inside the body. Okay, even the nutrients along with the water enters through ostia. Then through oscula, what is oscula? The larger openings. Okay, the larger opening which is present by which the water is given out through that oscula. Then they have special types of cells, collar cells, isn't it? Then they are attached to substratum. They are sedentary animals. They do not show locomotion. Example, Cycon, Euspongia, isn't it? Next phylum which we studied after Porifera was Coelenterata or Cnidaria. Coelenterata, the body is two types, okay, it's of two shapes. If it is cylindrical, it is called as polyp. If it is umbrella, it is called as medusa. Then again, radially symmetrical, diploblastic. Another important characteristic was specialized cells called cnidoblast are present in Coelenterata. Okay, then these cnidoblasts are present where in tentacles. Tentacles are used for capturing the prey. And cnidoblast, what is the function of cnidoblast? It injects the toxin in the body of prey. Then again, example, Hydra, sea anemone. Okay, diagram of Hydra, Cycon is important. The next phylum which we went through was Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes, flatworms. Okay, they are endoparasites. Body is acoelomate, bilaterally symmetrical. They are hermaphrodite. Example, tapeworm, liver fluke, planaria. Then the fourth phylum was Ascomynthus. Ascomynthus animals, they are thread-like or cylindrical. That's why they are called as roundworms. These animals are also endoparasites. Okay, triploblastic and pseudocoelomate, false body cavity. Okay, then non-segmented body with tough cuticle, unisexual animals. An example is Ascaris, filarial worm, loa loa, eyeworm. Okay, Ascaris diagram is important. Next phylum which we studied was Annelida. Just wait a minute. Next phylum which we studied was Annelida. Then Annelida, if you see, the animal is long, cylindrical, and metamerically segmented. Okay, then metamerically segmented. So what happened? These animals are also free living and ectoparasites. Ectoparasites. Then examples were earthworm. You know earthworm. They are called as friends of farmers. Just wait a minute. Okay. Then after Annelida, today we studied about Hemichordata. We studied about Arthropoda. Arthropoda have joint appendages. They are the successful animal kingdom with highest number of animals. Their body is triploblastic, eucoelomate, bilaterally symmetrical. Chitinous exoskeleton is present. They are unisexual. After that, we covered mollusca. Mollusca is the second largest phylum. Their body is soft and slimy. The body is divided into three divisions: head, foot, and visceral mass. Visceral mass is covered with mantle, isn't it? They are unisexual. Then, example was snail, octopus. Then we studied about Echinodermata and Hemichordata. Now, Echinodermata, from the name, spiny, spine skins. Okay, calcareous spines are present. They are triploblastic, eucoelomate. Okay, they have good ability of regeneration. Calcareous spines and ossicles are present. Locomotion is by tube feet. Hemichordata, again body divided into three parts: proboscis, collar, and trunk. Notochord is present in proboscis. That's why balanoglossus is considered as a connecting link between non-chordates and chordates. Okay, so we have completed with the phylums of the non-chordate kingdom. Okay, you have studied 9 phylums. You have to remember all the characteristics of the respective phylums along with the examples. You have to be well aware with the diagrams. Okay, various diagrams are there with their labeling, proper labeling. You have to practice the diagrams. Now let's answer some questions. Okay, there are some questions which anyone can give the answer if they know the answer. Okay, let's move on with the first question. If you know the answer, you can unmute yourself and answer. Just wait a minute. By mistakenly, I have answered the first one. Dash is the largest phylum in animal kingdom. You can see which is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom. It is the
Arthropoda.
yes, Arthropoda. Okay, so it can be asked for Phillips and all objective type questions. So you have to remember that Arthropoda is the largest phylum in animal kingdom. Let's see what is the next question. Which of the following animals can regenerate its broken body parts?
Ma'am, can
Cockroach,
I?
cockroach, starfish, sparrow. Yes,
Starfish, option B.
yes. Option B, starfish is correct. Okay, we just saw how starfish, if it loses its arm, even it grows back that lost arm, and even that lost arm will grow into a new individual as they have good ability of regeneration. Third, dash is the second largest phylum in animal kingdom. Arthropoda, mollusca, echinodermata. Yes, anyone? Second largest.
Mollusca.
Yes, mollusca. Just we know the largest one is Arthropoda. Okay, the second largest is mollusca. Fourth one, find the correlation. Okay, now see the question. Parapodia, Annelida, tube-fit, dash. Come on, try. Find the correlation. Three things are given. You have to fill the fourth one.
Echinodermata.
Yes, very good. Very good. See, you have to understand, okay? Now see, parapodia is what? Parapodia are present in the animals belonging to phylum Annelida. And it is used for locomotion. Same way, tube feet. Just now we studied tube feet is used for locomotion by the animals of Echinodermata. So the answer will be Echinodermata. Now you have to remember, see the relation, okay? Parapodia, phylum is given Annelida. Tube feet, then you have to write phylum. If you write example over there, okay, just like starfish. Starfish have tube feet, isn't it? So if you write starfish over there, it will be wrong. If phylum is given in the first pair, then you have to write phylum in the second pair. Suppose example was given in the first pair, like Parapodia, and its pair would be suppose something leech, something, okay? Then tube feet, then you can write the example, and the example will be starfish, okay? Any example of the Echinodermata. Next question. See, I have chitinous exoskeleton. I have 4 pairs of walking appendages. I can sting you. Who am I? What phylum do I belong to? Okay. Now, pay attention on the characteristic. Chitinous exoskeleton. Just try to remember in which phylum we studied. Chitinous exoskeleton. Okay. Then also see the other characteristic. It has 4 pair of walking appendages. Walking appendages. From that you can understand joint appendages. Okay. It also stings you. See, many examples will be there, but not all are stinging you, isn't it?
Arthropoda.
Yes, phylum is Arthropoda, but who am I? Who is the animal? So I
Cockroach.
can, cockroach stings you. Just try to Try to remember more. It stings you. Various example which we studied in Arthropoda. Who am I? What phylum do I belong to?
Hydra.
What? See, the answer is scorpion.
Miss PHYLUM.
What?
PHYLUM. Second wala.
PHU. Where it is? See, answer I have given. Don't get confused. Okay.